So far as the new education policy is concerned, there is a drastic change in the higher education regulatory framework, and in place of UGC and AICTE, these two bodies were entirely responsible for policy making, monitoring and funding and financing of entire higher education system erstwhile before this new education policy came into force in India. Now, after this policy that has come into force, we see there is a drastic change in the regulatory bodies in the higher education system, and we see different bodies, as many as 5 bodies. For example, the National Higher Education Commission. The National Higher Education Commission is responsible for the overall policy framing and entire overall policy framing monitoring of the education system. So Higher Education Commission is responsible for the monitoring and policy framing in this course, while the regulatory framework will be handled by National Higher Education Regulatory Council. National Higher Education Regulatory Council will look after the regulatory process and regulatory framework of the higher education. National Accreditation Council will look after the system of accreditation, and this body will look after only on the accreditation system. So the policymakers believe that this division of different bodies and their powers and responsibilities, the duties will be done very smoothly and promptly, because they will be expertise in that process. So National Accreditation Council will accredit all institutional bodies in due course. Now, Higher Education Grants Council will look after the funding and financing of the entire process of higher education system. So Higher Education Grants Council is responsible for the financial system of the higher education. There will be General Education Council too, and this General Education Council will look after only the regulatory framework of the entire system. So they will look after the regulatory framework, and this regulatory framework will be consistently monitored by General Education Council, and this is the last one in the higher education system that the policymakers believe that when all of them will work together in a cohesive manner, the policy will yield its best result, effective result, and the result will come within the 20 years of its force. When 20 years have passed, we'll see the best result of this new system. That is the expectation of the policymakers of 2020. So the vision is for 2040, and within this 2040, as the policymakers believe that India will be superpower in educational sectors. So hope that all of you have listened my lecture and got some of the ideas that India has undergone in a drastic change, specifically in the regulatory framework of the new education policy. So new education policy paved various new opportunities and various new experimental innovative process. So let us see and let us hope that the system yields best of its result, because India need to be restructured. India need to be restructured in a manner that India might become a hub of educational superpower. Thank you very much for your patient listening. Have a nice day.